Back with you on this Football Friday. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. All right, I want to hit you with this first, Tone, before we get into what happened yesterday. So today's game we mentioned is the Dolphins and the Jets. This is interesting. So Alan Lazard, who they signed to a massive deal, I think in large part because he was Aaron Rodgers' guy, one of his guys in Green Bay. He's inactive today.
Just inactive?
Inactive. He has 7 drops this season. He's been really bad for them. Look, I get it. Zach Wilson's a disaster area, but his receivers haven't exactly picked him up other than Garrett Wilson. So he's inactive today. That is very interesting to me. Like that's sending a little message. I think if you're, Robert Saleh and the Jets crew.
Okay, let's look at this, right? Alan Lazard's contract. He signed a 4-year, $44 million contract with the Jets.
Yep.
With a total guarantees at $22 million. So they can get out of the contract fairly unscathed after the 2024 season. So he's going to be there.
So he's stuck with him for 1 more year. So this year he's got 20 catches, 290 yards, and just 1 touchdown and 7 drops.
That's massively disappointing. Massively. They paid him. He's making roughly $11 million a year. Man, $22 million straight up.
The running joke is he's been inactive all season.
That's good. I like that. Hey, listen, that may be true. Look, man, we got to remember this is real life here. That may be true, but $22 million in the bank.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Hey, listen, man, you win some, you lose some. I'll leave it at that. You win some, you lose some.
Look, I think they're done, but I will be and I don't think he's any good either or the answer or anything like that. But if the Jets offense looks better today under Tim Boyle than it looked under Zach Wilson, so there's 2 offshoots of that, right? The first one is it truly tells you how just unbelievably bad Wilson has been. I don't think we need any further proof of that, but it would tell you that. But the other thing it would do is it would scream, why didn't you do this earlier if I'm a Jets fan? Because the defense has done everything they can to keep you in games. And everybody has known that this dude can't play. And I really think it goes above Saleh. I think this is a Joe Douglas thing.
No way.
Yep.
No way it's all I just can't believe. Coaches know who can play and they know who can't. Yep. They see him every day. Saleh know that boy can't play.
Yep.
There's no way Saleh kept that man in there of his own volition.
Yeah.
I firmly believe the organization and the GM look at it like this. They spent the first round high value pick on Zach Wilson, regardless if you brought in Aaron Rodgers. That's even a bigger indictment on Zach Wilson. But nonetheless, you draft him very, very, very high. And their mindset, because remember, this doesn't get talked about that much. Remember, their mindset was, okay, we bring in Aaron Rodgers, we allow Zach Wilson to learn from him, and hopefully he can actually live up to that billing that we expected him. Right, he can learn from him. Right, yeah. That was the actual long-term plan. Trade for Rodgers. Hopefully, whatever Rodgers has rubs off on Zach Wilson. He could probably maybe he can tap into that well of talent. Right, that was their real plan.
Yeah,
Rodgers goes down. Now you have to actually lean on this kid Zach Wilson, and you really have to find out, can he play? You throw him into the fire, and naturally you would expect some level of improvement or some level of a learning curve, like we see with Jordan Love. Jordan Love has had an up and down first half of the season, but you're seeing this.
You're seeing growth here. Yeah,
you're seeing this tick up, right? You're seeing it. Zach Wilson has just been just like a plane that's been shot out of the sky. So again, it has to be a move that's above Robert Saleh's head, because there's no way he would allow that young man to still play knowing he can't play. I think that, like I said, the organization, the GM, they are so hell-bent on trying to validate that pick. They still are afraid. At the time, they still were afraid to scream mercy.
Yeah.
And now,
which I mean, like, aren't you all? To me, I think you're much more respected by your fan base if you admit a mistake rather than compounding a mistake. And this to me was classic compounding of a mistake. Like the Eagles admitted a mistake with Wentz when they ate the money, all the dead money they knew they were going to have to deal with, in trading him and all those kind of things. Like they were willing to do that. And I gave Howie credit. Yeah, there were mistakes made. But like for another example, with Jalen Reagor, when they it was only 2 years and they pulled the plug on that very, very quickly. Like that to me spoke volumes about A, how bad Rager was, but B, it's like, okay, we made a mistake and we're not going to make it worse. I respect that way more as a fan of a team than I do this crap that the Jets are pulling, trying to force feed this guy down everybody's throats for as long as
yeah, absolutely. All it took was one season. They said, you know what, we're drafting Devontae Smith the following year. That's all
exactly.
it took. I'll take it a step further, right? And this is a bad team in the NFL right now, but I'll give the Arizona Cardinals credit in this regard. They drafted Josh Rosen the same year Josh Allen was drafted. They drafted Josh Rosen. He was terrible. You know what they did the following year? They drafted Kyler Murray in the first round, right then and there. And another situation, they hired that guy. What was it? What was the coach of the former coach there? What was his name before Gannon? Forget his name.
Oh, Cliff Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury. They hired Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was there. They even extended him. You know what they did? They said, you know what? Nah.
Yep, we're done.
They fired him. As soon as they fired him, the year after they extended him, we're done.
Yeah.
They admitted they threw up the white flag fast. So as bad of an organization they are, they've in two key spots, they have not been afraid to admit defeat. And I respect it. I gotta respect the team that just knows when to say, you know what, this ain't working, and we can see it.
I agree with you. All right, so let's look back at yesterday. Let's start with the first game. The Packers in Detroit, mind you, take care of business, and they knock off the Lions, which now if you look at it, Tone, the last 2 weeks, the Lions basically survived the Bears, a terrible Bears team, and then they lose at home now to the Packers. So is some of the shine start, even though they have the easy schedule that everybody talks about, is some of the shine starting to come off that Lions team now? Just a little bit?
Yes, you can make an argument that the writing was on the wall. They beat the Raiders and they beat the Chargers, but they really haven't been the same since that Ravens loss.
Right.
They beat the Raiders 26-14, but they kind of limped through that game, if you ask me. They beat the Chargers 41-38. Put up a lot of points, but still defense was leaky for sure. And then the Bears, you should have lost that game. That was when the straw almost broke the camel's back, but they survived it somehow. And then here we go. The levees are broken. You lose to the Packers at home at that 29-22. You dropped a very important game that you should have had, because now, let's be honest about it, it gets harder. I understand the Bears and the Saints aren't world beaters, but the Saints, they lead their division, and they're going to test you. They're going to push you in some way. They're talented still. Do I have questions about their coaching? Yeah, but they're still a relatively talented team that you have to somewhat get up for. And you're on the road 2 games in a row, right? The Bears almost caught you slipping last time on the road. You got lucky. Now you got to go to their home field. They're going to want revenge for giving that up. They're going to overcorrect. They're going to make sure they're going to make sure they're as buttoned up as possible. And also, Justin Fields is going to be a couple games deeper into his return from injury. So I think these next 2 games are crucial for them. They have to win them. But again, dropping the Packers game was a huge, huge hit, because you want to win those games that you're supposed to win at the very least. So after that Bears matchup, they have Broncos, Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings. Well, I have a hard time believing that they're going to win out.
I have a hard time believing they're going to win out too. And the other thing is, I felt like Green Bay was in control of that game. Like
whole game.
Yeah, Detroit threatened a couple times, no doubt. But I felt like Green Bay was like, all right, we'll answer here. And they would put together a drive or do whatever they had to do. And they were, it felt like they were the better team at home. And meanwhile, they were the underdog on the road. It just had that vibe to it, that game.
Yeah, man. Rashawn Gary on the Green Bay Packers, man, he went off.
Whoa.
My God.
Whoa.
Man.
Yeah.
He had such a great game. All he could do was cry at the end of it. That's all he could do.
All right. So the middle game was the Commanders and the Cowboys. And look, let's face it. If Dallas does something extremely well, it's they will beat up the lesser opponent. They will take them apart. It's generally not close. And that was the case yesterday, where the other thing is, I saw a couple people tweet this out, and they couldn't be more right. The fact that Sam Howell is somehow still upright with the way this year has gone, that cat has taken a freaking beating this season, and he's still ticking. I give that guy a lot of credit, but that's just an aside. Dallas just handled him. They manhandled him. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, it was up until the fourth quarter, if you ask me. They were down 20-10 going into halftime. In my opinion, they were very much in that game. Washington, that defense shut out the Cowboys in the third quarter. That was their opportunity right there for the offense. That they had plenty of opportunities to try to get something on the board so they can at least make it 20-17 going into the fourth, or even tie the game up. That's how many opportunities they had. Their defense played lights out in the third, and Washington's offense couldn't do nothing, to make it worth their while. And then all of a sudden, like I said to you before, the levees broke. And Washington's defense couldn't hold on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if you're just jumping on with us, they have fired Jack Del Rio and their defensive backs coaches. They're both out in Washington.
I don't like that. I feel like that's an overreaction. Not a fan of that move at all. When your defense kept you in it up until the last second, and it's like, what do you expect? It's the Dallas Cowboys. They known for beating up on good. They known for beating up on bad teams. You should have took advantage of the opportunities in the third quarter when you had them.
I think some of that also stems from the week before too, where they lost to the Giants. You know what I mean? Like it's the bad look. Two teams in your division spanking you down. I mean, it's a bad look. You know, and let's face it, they're looking to scapegoat somebody at this point, and you lay it at the feet of a coordinator.
But that game was 24-19 before Sam Howell threw a pick six.
That's true.
So that score looks a lot worse than what the game really was. Defense kept you in the game again, and it's just offense is not. The offense is not opportunistic. The offense does not take advantage of opportunities that the defense provides. I just feel like it was an overreaction. It just seems like the first domino to fall of many.
Yeah. Oh, look, we know what's coming when the season ends. It's going to be a total house cleaning. It's going to be everybody. Make no mistake there. All right. 49ers Seahawks. I didn't have a good feeling about this one going in for the Seahawks. Geno's banged up. No Ken.
They didn't have Ken Walker. Yeah.
It just felt. And I think that frankly the Niners are hitting some stride here, man. And McCaffrey got off early, which is never a good sign for an opposing defense. Then Purdy started getting really comfortable. Debo looks like he's healthy again. Kittle was involved. Their defense was doing what they do. It was short of a great catch by Smith-Njigba, there wasn't a whole lot to hang your hat on if you're Seattle.
Yeah, man. Seattle is plummeting, and they're plummeting fast. I don't see this thing getting any better for them. Let's really think about what they have coming up on their schedule, right? Because, give me 1 second. There we go. Had a little technical difficulty here on my side. All right. So, looking at Seattle right now and their entire situation. Let's look at the upcoming schedule because it only gets harder. Yeah. You lost to the Rams. You lost to the 49ers. You got the Cowboys. Then you got the Niners again on the road this time. Mm-hmm. And I think that ass was going to be worse. Then you got the Eagles, Titans, Steelers, Cardinals. Man, I'll be honest with you, man. The Seahawks are about to go on a 5-game losing streak.
Whoa, really?
Yep, I'm willing to bet on that. I put it to you this way, right? By what is this? Week 16. Come week 16, the Seattle Seahawks are going to be 6-10.
Right.
They're going to be
6-10.
Or is that 6-9?
Really? Yeah. All right. I don't know that. All right. Let me just. I'll go over it here. Let's run through the games one more time.
We run through it. They've already lost Rams, 49ers. So that's 2, right? 2 losses back to back. They got Cowboys, Niners, Eagles. 2 of those games are on the road.
Yeah. All right. At Tennessee, at Tennessee is kind of an interesting one. Pittsburgh is probably still going to be fighting for some. Maybe at Arizona, but at that point, it's totally over anyway, and who cares?
Well, I'm sorry, I have my math wrong. They'll be 6-8 by the end of this. By the end of this next 3 games, they'll be 6-8. I'm willing to bet on that. They're not beating the Cowboys on the road. They're not beating the 49ers on the road, and I think the Eagles are going to take advantage of a team that's demoralized and depleted.
Okay, interesting. That's I
That's
wasn't
my
looking
hot
at
take
it
of the
that
day.
way, Tone.
That's
I
my
gotta
hot take of
tell
the
you.
day.
All right, all right. I like it. I like it. So again, just to circle back to the Eagles, a big one here for Buffalo is Taron Johnson, their nickel corner, who's very good, has been cleared. Okay, he was injured. This one was crazy. He was injured in the second quarter of the win last week against the Jets. And Taylor Rapp, their safety, was also hurt on the same play. Rapp was taken off the field in an ambulance with a neck injury. He's not playing. But Johnson cleared concussion protocol. He's been very good. Played over 80% of the snaps in all but 2 games this season. He's third in tackles. He's allowed 6 yards per target, which is good, but it's not great. It's solid. But nonetheless, they get him back for that game. So that is a critical one as well. Hey, the other thing quickly in the Cowboys game. So Deron Bland got his 5th pick 6 of the season, which is the NFL record.
It's pretty impressive, man. Got to give credit where credit is due. It's very impressive. He leads the league in interceptions as well. So definitely got to give credit where credit is due. It's unfortunate Devontae Smith had to humble him though, but congratulations to Deron Bland for setting a league record. It's unfortunate that same production couldn't translate to that Eagles matchup, but things happen. So
nice. I like your pettiness towards the Cowboys. Can I just reiterate that?
Oh my God!
All right.
It doesn't matter if they're undefeated. I'm going to find a way to just poke holes in their balloon.
So Belichick is being. I just want to kind of jump around a little bit. Not that it matters, but he's being classic petty Belichick. He still won't name the starting quarterback. Like, my thing is like, does it really make a difference if it's Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi or whomever? The answer is no. So sit there and play your games, dude, and do whatever you're doing. Like, stop with all this.
Bill Pettichek, really? Petty LaBelle,
Petty LaBelle,
Sam Petty, or Tom Petty. That's what it is. Tom Petty.
Yeah, Bill Petty. Yeah, but you're right.
Bill Petty. All those things, here? Man.
Really? What are
Petty Mills?
It's just like you can do this crap when you're winning. Like it's just like Belichick, he's a grump, but he wins. Who cares? And when you don't win, when Tom Brady's out of town and you do this stuff, it's like, really, man? Yeah, we're gonna keep doing this.
We talked about consistency with coaches, right? You are who you are. The last thing we want is to change who you are.
He ain't changing. I can tell you that. There is,
and know this, man. Like the older someone gets, the more grumpy they become.
Oh, there's no doubt. Well, I think there's 2 things that happen. You become more grumpy, and your given F quota goes out the window. Mm-hmm. You just don't care. At that point, you're filterless.
They're 2-7, right?
I believe they are. Yeah. All right. Well, let's look at the standings here. So, they are. They're 2-8.
2-8. Would you care?
No. No. You realize they're the worst team in the AFC,
right?
How the mighty have fallen, man. They have the worst record in the AFC. They're only behind. They only have one more. Like, there's 2 teams. The Arizona Cardinals are 2-9. New England's 2-8, and then you have the Panthers at 1-9. That's how bad this is.
What's so funny?
And the worst part. Here's the worst part for the Panthers. They don't own that pick.
Oh, man.
That's the Bears for moving up to get Bryce Young.
That sucks, man. That sucks really bad. I'll say this though. I forgot. I literally almost forgot the Patriots and like the Titans were in the NFL. I forgot. I completely forgot about the Titans. All those teams at the bottom, Cardinals, apparently you forget that they're in the NFL, man.
Yeah, you do.
One thing I will say, man, I've never had to endure a 1-win season. Thank God.
I'm trying to think of
the worst season I've ever had to endure was a 4-11-1 season. That was the worst season I ever had to endure consciously. What about you? What was the worst season you had to endure as an Eagles fan?
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to go back to it. 98, which was Ray Rhodes last year. I want to say 3-13, but I'm gonna look it up. That was horrible. Like, they were the most non-competitive team you will ever see. They had totally checked out. They were 3-13. They were embarrassingly bad. Like, the only positive that you could glean out of that team was they had a couple of good, promising draft picks, like Trey Thomas, Jeremiah Trotter. They got Ike Reese that year. And you could see like guys like Brian Dawkins could play. But I'm telling you, Tone, as for and I think Deuce was there by
yeah,
then,
he was there.
But there was very little else. So that was probably right there for me, that 98 team.
When did Laurie buy the team? Was that
94? So Laurie took over. It was still Kotite. He let Kotite coach 1 year. Then he hired Ray Rhodes. Ray in 95 got the Eagles to the playoffs and they won a game. 96 they got to the playoffs and lost. And then it came apart.
The levees broke.
Yeah, it came apart. So anyway, which resulted in that season I'm talking. It was the worst. And then Andy comes in 99 and starts rebuilding everything. That's kind of been the MO. Like, whenever the Eagles have a bad year like that, generally the next year is a major turnaround. Like, you're in for a major turnaround. So what they were able to do, like, for example, Andy's last year was terrible.
4-12, yeah.
Chip Kelly got them to the playoffs the next year. Chip Kelly's last year was terrible. Doug got into the playoffs within 2 years.
There is definitely a trend. There's definitely a trend with if you have that, you can tell the Eagles, they have a low tolerance for mediocrity, because if you really pay attention to the trends in terms of coaches and their tenure with the Philadelphia Eagles, the moment you hit that, the moment you hit that, you have that 11 win season, then you go 10 wins and 8 wins and 4 wins. They cut ties.
Yep.
They have a very, very low tolerance for mediocrity. If you have a below 500 season, they will fire your ass.
Yes.
I respect it. I respect it. But man, I was a Doug guy. I kind of felt like he deserved another one, but
I would have given Doug another year.
I would have. I personally would have.
Hard to argue it now, but I at the time, I'm telling you what I said at the time. I would have given him another year. I would have tried to get Wentz out of here because that had just become such a mess. But I would have given him another year and see what he could have done growing Hurts. I would have been curious what that looked like. Now, that's the other part. We're not privy to what goes on behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. So there could have been stuff happening. I know Doug really started to wanted more say on who his assistant coaches were, and that wasn't flying with the front office. So I think it was probably a split that was good for both. Doug got away from it for a year, and I think he landed in a good spot in Jacksonville where there's not as much scrutiny on you. And he stepped in for, think about it. He took over the year after the Urban Meyer nonsense. So he did a heck of a job in his first year down there, for sure. All right, let's get
Jacksonville's just grateful. Jacksonville's grateful to be in the party. That's all it is. So
no doubt. All right, let's get a timeout. Let's come back. We're going to look at the best matchups of the week, Tone. We do have some games with real major playoff implications on the line. Jags Texans are one of those games, but you got Steelers Bengals, Browns Broncos. It's funny, in all three of those games, there are teams that, or at least in 2 out of the first 3, that we didn't think we'd ever be talking about playoff implications. Texans, Broncos, the way they started, no shot. But we'll get into all those games when we come back. Don't go anywhere. He's Tone DeShields. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. It's time to let you know about the great folks at Flynn Tree Services. Yes, Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face. So if you have any types of issues in your yard or on your property, they're just a quick phone call away, and they're experts at trimming all types of trees, and they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. They specialize in removing trees fully, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. You could go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's Flynn Tree Services.